Civilians make up 61% of Gaza deaths from airstrikes, Israeli study finds.
Here's a summary of the article.
The aerial bombing campaign by Israel in Gaza is the most indiscriminate in terms of civilian casualties in recent years, a study published by an Israeli newspaper has found. The analysis in Haaretz came as Israeli forces fought to consolidate their control of northern Gaza on Saturday, bombing the Sahaji district of Gaza City, while also conducting airstrikes on Rafah, a town on the southern border with Egypt where the Israeli army has told people in Gaza to take shelter. Haaretz published an analysis by Yagil Levy, a sociology professor at the Open University of Israel, which found that in 3 earlier campaigns in Gaza, in the period from 2012 to 22, the ratio of civilian deaths to the total of those killed in airstrikes hovered at about 40%. That ratio declined to 33% in a bombing campaign earlier this year, called Operation Shield and Arrow. In the first 3 weeks of the current operation, Swords of Iron, the civilian proportion of total deaths rose to 61%, in what Levy described as unprecedented killing for Israeli forces in Gaza. Kirby said a U.S. military transport plane had landed in Egypt on Friday carrying nearly 26,000 kilograms of food, water, and medicine bound for Gaza. Kirby said fewer than 100 trucks had crossed through the Rafah gate on Friday, about half the daily volume that entered Gaza during a week-long humanitarian ceasefire at the end of last month. The UN and other aid agencies say that even when trucks enter the Gaza Strip at Rafah, the ground offensive in southern Gaza and the general lack of security is preventing the supplies from being distributed, at a time of a high and rising threat of starvation and disease.
This post received a score of 9,900, with an upvote ratio of 83%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Isn't that what the IDF already said, when they stated that 39% of all those killed in Gaza were Hamas?
That's about the same fraction of men killed. So are they just counting all males as Hamas? How do they know if they are supposedly dressed as civilians? How do they determine who is Hamas? Something doesn't add up.
Greater than that's about the same fraction of men killed. Bingo! They're using the same counting technique that Obama used when counting civilian casualties from the drone strike program. All military-aged males within a strike zone were counted as combatants.
To paraphrase the quote in the Vietnam movie Full Metal Jacket, any military-aged male who runs is a member of Hamas. Any military-aged male who stands still is a well-disciplined member of Hamas.
How do you bomb women and children? Easy. You just don't lead them as much.
That was a real quote from a door gunner in Vietnam. One of the writers for Full Metal Jacket was Michael Hare, who was a correspondent in Vietnam, and that's what a soldier told him when he asked how he shoots women and children. A few of the crazy lines and scenes from Full Metal Jacket and Apocalypse Now, another movie he co-wrote, were taken from things he actually saw happen in Vietnam. If anyone is interested in reading more about his experiences, check out the book he wrote. It's called Dispatches. It's non-fiction, but if you didn't know that, you'd easily think it was too insane to be real.
Out of curiosity, I recently got a book that was referenced on here called Nam, which is an oral history collected from veterans in the mid-70s. A lot of them talk about the deliberate killing of civilians, with 1 or 2 talking about sexual assault first. It was unsurprisingly dark and grim.
I always found it odd that sex gets brought up in combat situations. Caveman brain maybe? Too much testosterone in the system? Even more so when there's dehumanization in the mix to make people think it's okay to kill others. Maybe something warped pops out as they don't see these people as people, but since it's people-shaped they can put their dicks in it? Anyway, definitely giving these books a read. Edit. Grammar.
Send 19-year-old boys into a war zone and delude them into thinking they are powerful.
The only way that number could be even close to accurate is if they're making an implicit claim that all adult men are Hamas.
Not to mention around half of the population is under 18. So anytime we hear about civilians getting killed, it's most likely around half children.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.